Recording in progress.
Hi, so today's video is going to be about moon rituals, um, how they're helpful, and how you can go about beginning your own moon rituals. So, moon rituals are something that people tend to do around most commonly the new moon and the full moon, but there are people that work with like the other phases of the moon, but just for the sake of simplicity and helping you kind of get your foot in the door, we'll just stick with full moons and new moons. I have notes, so I'll be reading off of them here and there. So, with moon rituals, it's a really powerful way to work with intention and belief. Intention setting will help you build confidence and trust in yourself and the universe as you co-create together. So as you set intentions that you'd like to see start to unfold within the next several weeks or several months, depending on the moon type it is, like the super moons, I think they go out a little bit further than just a few weeks. But anyways, you put intentions, and then the universe and your belief will go ahead and water the intentions. And you'll notice when you first start, you might not necessarily be sure how to go about doing intention setting, and that's totally fine if that is the case. A good way to get intentions or ideas for intentions is to just go around and look at what other people are doing and take what resonates. So when I first started learning about moon rituals, which was a couple years ago, I would go look at the Moon Omens page on Instagram, or Moonlight Healing, or I want to say there's one that's called like Stars, Sun, and Moon. There's many pages on Instagram that have pages dedicated to the moon cycles, and usually they'll post really helpful affirmations or intentions, and you can kind of just scan through them and see what works for you. And then you put them down. It's better to put it in a journal instead of just like verbally trusting your intention will come true, like by speaking it out loud or by thinking it. Something about pen to paper is very powerful, which some people say that's why spells are so powerful. It's because a lot of people work with spelling and word magic and sigils and stuff like that because it's solid, it's tangible. So you want to put your intentions on paper, and if you're really going to dig into moon rituals, you might want to get a notebook that you dedicate to moon rituals and other special things that you do for your spiritual growth. So like my notebook is this one, and I've had it since 2018. And I got into moon rituals when I was first getting into Reiki. I think it was a couple months before my first Reiki attunement. My Reiki teacher had taught me about working with the moon a little bit. And so then I kind of just figured it out myself after she like mentioned it to me. And for me at that time, I was working through a lot of religious programming, so it was a little bit daunting for me to work with the moon because I still had that programming that was active that made me feel like I was a bad person for working with the moon. So when I first started doing my moon rituals, I would only work with the full moon because I didn't feel confident enough to work with the new moon. And my intentions were definitely from a place of fear and not knowing what the heck I was doing. But the beauty of it was, like, I was just rereading my old intentions before I started this video. The beauty of it is that in the beginning I started off just doing full moons for probably like 6 months, and then I slowly started doing full moons and new moons, and then I definitely approached moon cycles from a place of gratitude a lot more in the beginning, which I would like to go ahead and start implementing again now. But I think it was like there was a lot of gratitude too, because it was like helping me break out of that religious programming, and it was helping me come back to my seat of power. And so, yeah, some of my full moon intentions, since I was only doing it once a month, were several pages long. And then once I started doing like full and new moons, the pages weren't as many because I was now putting more time into them, twice a month instead of once a month. And then I've started adding on to my moon rituals as I've become more comfortable and more in my power with what works for me. So, I mean, here's just a few intentions that I had way back in the day that I'm pretty sure I got from like the Moon Omens page. It says, I release any old thinking that hinders me from my greatest good. I release hurt, anger, pain, and sorrow and ask God to transmute it to light and love. I welcome love and healing throughout all of my bodies, mind, body, and spirit, and ask God to fill the areas where negative energy was released with love and light. I will successfully manage my time and finances. I will do amazing in school. See, I was just learning about words. A lot of people say you need to write about it in present tense, but it just goes to show like there's no wrong way really to do it as long as you're doing it from pure heart, because I mean these intentions did come true for me. There was a lot of resistance for them to work through, for them to come through for me, but like yeah, I mean my time and finances has drastically improved, and I did amazing in school, and technically I'm still doing amazing in school because I'm in earth school and I'm now studying things that really bring me joy instead of just like the privileged academic school that didn't really bring me joy. Yeah, and it's like, here's another one. I release any attachment I have to physical pain or trauma. At this time when I started this journal, I was recovering from like 2 hip surgeries, a torn rotator cuff, and a tailbone cyst, and I was very in victim consciousness and trying to work through that, and I did have attachment to pain because I would buy things that said like bath salts for pain and fatigue, or pain medication, or things that had the word pain. So obviously I was attached to it, and I wanted to release that attachment, and it took a while to release that attachment, but that's the beauty of moon magic or moon rituals. Is like with repetition and coming from a place of love, these rituals can really bring your power back and help you make some massive like shifts. And so yeah, now I don't have an attachment to pain, and I have a pretty good inner dialogue with my body that I did not used to have when I first started this journal. And that started, interestingly, it says full moon in Aquarius, which those that know astrology, Aquarius is like a very revolutionary sign. And yeah, my life has been very revolutionized, and I know there's been other full moons in Aquarius that I've worked through also. I'm kind of curious what those intentions say, but I'll do that on my own time. So yeah, and then sorry, I got a little sidetracked from my notes. So that's a good way to go about starting moon rituals, is just begin with intention setting. And the moon rituals will sync you with the moon cycles, which is really nice because humanity has lost touch with Mother Earth and her cycles. And some people might view Mother Earth as like not of any importance because they're so far gone from like the natural cycles of Earth. But like, if we're real, we live on Earth. We're not better than Earth. All the plants, animals, and vegetation go through cycles. And they all seem to do much better than humanity does dealing with humanity, but that's because humanity is so disconnected from the earth energies that we kind of forget that we are all interconnected. I mean, we've built houses to protect ourselves from earth because there's forces out there greater than us, and I think a lot of us forget that. And so getting in tune with moon rituals will help you kind of reconnect with the interconnectedness of it all, which is really awesome. And the moon rituals help you nurture your divine feminine energy, which we all have divine feminine energy in us. And it helps you do that because it gives you a safe, sacred space to tap into your intuition and your creativity and what it is you'd like to see. And that's very nurturing to the feminine energy, because back in the day she used to get shut down all the time for any of the healed, strong aspects of the feminine energy. And then it also nurtures our inner masculine energy, because this gives the masculine energy a structured way to stabilize yourself and get back into alignment with your power, which really at the end of the day we want to be aligned. We want our feminine and masculine energies to be aligned and integrated, and so moon rituals are a nice way to kind of slowly bring in the feminine and masculine energies to where they can work together, and that way there's less push and pull in your life and there's more cohesion in your life. This is all a process though. It's called rituals because it is a ritual. It's a practice. It's something we do over and over and over. It's like a gentle reminder and a form of self-care. So it takes time, but eventually you'll notice there will be an integration of the male and female energies within you. For new moons, a lot of people see new moons as a time of new beginnings. And so some people will do their manifestation work with a new moon, and some will do it with a full moon. I think either way is fine. It's just kind of, you need to go with what your gut is telling you. And then for the full moons, people do manifestation rituals as well, and banishment rituals. I tend to do my banishing type stuff and like spell work more so around full moons. However, I have certain things in my ritual that I do during both new moons and full moons. So for example, after I've gone through and done my intentions in my journal and like kind of decompressed and kind of like synced up with the moon energies, I did not do this in the beginning. In the beginning, I used to just sit in a chair with a glass of salt water under me and sit in the moon and write intentions. And now what I do is I clean my home energetically as I work with the moon energy, and then that way I'm getting more out of my connection with the moon, which I see the moon as sister moon. So it's like I get more connection and healing and release working with the moon energy that is my sister. And so I will do a floor sweep, which floor sweeps are basically you get a combination of ingredients that you've researched or Googled around or whatever is your way of obtaining information. Just make sure it feels right to you. And you get ingredients. So in my case, some of my floor sweeps are like salt and bay leaves and nettles and cloves and rose petals and calendula and frankincense. And other days it might be like I don't know, sea salt and black salt and pine cone like pieces and fir needles and orange and peppermint, and like my ingredients change according to what my needs are for myself and my home and the season I'm in. And I honor that because I used to stick with like a rigid floor sweep, but I realized like I don't know, it didn't always feel as great to me as it initially did. And so I realized as I change with the seasons and the sweep changes with the seasons, it works. And you put that in your mop water and you mop the house with it. And as you do a floor sweep, you can go ahead and visualize your intentions that you wrote down happening, and then you can visualize the house as your subconscious mind. And so you're cleaning out the rooms of your subconscious mind and filling them with this moonlight energy, which is therefore bringing light to your shadows, which is a very powerful thing to do because the subconscious loves symbolism, and so does the universe. So I mean, I tend to do the floor sweeps more than my partner does, and that's fine. But when I do the floor sweeps, I'm manifesting for myself, and I view the house as my subconscious mind. It's not our subconscious mind. I say this for those that might have codependent tendencies, or those that might have control issues. Don't try to manifest stuff for another person because that's not in alignment with free will. Don't know why that just got dropped on me, but yeah. So anyways, yeah, I'll do floor sweeps for my new moons and my full moons. During full moons, I tend to, haven't done it lately, but there for a while I was writing my intentions in one concise word on a bay leaf and then burning the bay leaves under the moonlight. And it's a very freeing thing to do as you watch the smoke go up to Father Sky, and as you see the embers and the light kind of crumble, and it's soothing. And I love the smell of bay as well. So anyways, yeah, for both full moons and new moons, depending on how much time I have, I'll do meditation and a bath. But more often than not, I tend to replace the meditation with a cleansing bath because I like to clean my energy frequently, and the moon is like the perfect time to clean energy. So I will fill the bath with salt. Can be any kind of salt. I like to do sea salt though, because I've discovered for myself it's way more cleansing for me. I'll do salt, and frankincense is almost always in my baths because it's one of the only oils that can clear low vibrations while raising the vibration at the same time. And I'll put frankincense. Sometimes I put uncrossing oil. Sometimes I put road opener oil. Sometimes I put I don't really do dried flowers unless they're in a bag because I don't want them to clog the drain, but I'll do like a little baggie of dried flowers and stuff, and then I'll scrub myself with it because then it's like a flower bath on top of a bath. I just go where intuition guides me with the bath, but always salt and frankincense. And then usually I make a nice cup of tea, which I always bless and empower to work for my highest good, in direct alignment with God, with the highest love and highest light. And I'll just like bathe and envision my energy field becoming clean, and then I'll visualize divine white light pouring through my body. And as the white light pours through my body, then I go ahead and call in Mother Earth's energy and bring in the grounding energies through my body. And then that's my moon bath ritual. And that usually happens after I do the floor sweep because I clean the house and then I clean myself, and then I just feel so wonderful afterwards. A lot of people say they have a hard time sleeping during full moons. I used to, but ever since I started doing floor sweeps and moon rituals, I sleep like a baby. It's fine. I think the only time my sleep is kind of disturbed during the moon is if it's like, I don't know, like the super moons that happen like 3 times in a row. Usually towards that like last one, I'm just like, okay, I can't sleep. So yeah. And a lot of people use the full moon to cleanse their crystals. However, you can cleanse your crystals with new moon energy, because just because you don't see the moon doesn't mean the moon's not there. The energy of the moon is still there. So yeah, crystal cleansing's great, and you can pick up the influence of the moon a day before and a day after. So you have about 3 days to kind of work with the new moon and full moon energies. If you are cleansing and charging crystals, which some of my crystals I leave out for several days, and some I just leave out for a day. It also depends on weather, because if it's gonna rain or something, like I gotta plan charging my crystals a little bit better. It's helpful when you're doing moon rituals to know the astrology transits that are going on, because this will help you hone in on your intentions, and this will really help you work with the universe to co-create what it is you want. So I know for me personally, the full moons in Scorpio, like those usually wreak like emotional havoc on my body and my mind, and there's a lot of introspection and stuff that comes up to be released, which I'm really grateful for it to be released. But when it's in Scorpio, yeah, it usually hits me pretty hard, which is funny because like a lot of my favorite people are Scorpios, and so it's interesting that that moon hits me so hard. But maybe they're my favorite people because they bring out that introspection and that emotional depth that I don't get as much with some of the other signs. And then I think another one that I've noticed is the moon in Aquarius and the moon in Gemini, which makes sense because I have an Aquarius sun and I have a Libra moon, but it's air signs, and so I think I noticed the air sign moons and transits more in general. And yeah, it's just good to know what's going on with astrology, just so you have an idea of how to navigate and things don't catch you as off guard, and you can be more grounded when things happen, which grounding is just important in general. If you've watched other videos, you know I talk about grounding all the time. And then let's see. yeah, and then I mean, for some of you who might have like that scientific mind, like I once had, I used to need to have a scientific reason for everything, and thankfully I finally worked through that, and now I just realize sometimes you don't need to know how or why it works. If it works, it works. And this, I thought this was pretty interesting as I was just like doing research on the moon before this video, because I like to read up on stuff before I talk about it, just so I can provide people with resources and links, which I will leave resources and links in the description box. But it is said in the scientific community, it has been observed that moon cycles are tied to when the coral spawns in the ocean. And it's also noted in science that the moon impacts the tides in the oceans and the waters and of like any like big body of water. And so when you think about it from like that perspective, like how can the moon not influence us when our bodies are made of so much water? So that might help you feel a little more comfortable going into moon rituals if you have a little bit of that skepticism. It's just good to be aware of that and kind of have that information to work with to make you comfortable if you're not comfortable going into moon rituals. Moon rituals are a great time for self-reflection and to implement change. Like I said, it's interesting just reading my old intentions, because like so many of them have came true, and it's like you got to go within and reflect in order to even set intentions, because how else are you going to set intentions that like are going to benefit you if you're like not reflecting and not introspecting and not with yourself? So it's a really wonderful time to do that, and then it speaks to your subconscious that you want change, and then your subconscious will for you it will for you you'll be unconscious of it, but the subconscious will consciously work to make these changes happen, and it'll be receptive to the things that you want to see. So like there for a while I was working a lot on metaphysical development regarding like fear and entities and religion and stuff like that. And so at that time, like I would see all kinds of stuff left and right about like material about spiritual warfare and entities and all of that stuff. So that way, well, and that caught my attention because my subconscious is like, oh yeah, these moon intentions, like she wants to understand this better and work through it. And so the subconscious will help you be more receptive to your intentions once they're on paper, if that makes sense. And so yeah, I mean, I worked through a lot of that, and it was pretty fascinating. The universe will match you as you take your power back through intention setting. The universe is here to co-create with you, and it's your friend, and as expressions of God, like anything is possible. So I mean, all the negative self-talk that so many of us carry, it happens every day for us because the universe is like, oh, you want to experience that? Like, the universe has no sense of humor. It's like, oh, you want to experience that? Well, then let me bring that situation to you. And so it's cool because with the moon, it's like you get to go through it with a positive like set of mind and take your power back by co-creating with the universe the things you'd actually want and desire. And it's like it's a set time of the month that you go through and you positively make time for yourself to create things and release things, which eventually it'll, like after enough moon rituals, you won't just be positively setting aside time for you twice a month. Eventually it'll become like a weekly thing and then a daily thing, and then it'll just become a way of living, which is really exciting and beautiful. Let's see. So some ways that people also do moon rituals, or things that they include in their moon rituals, is some people will do oracle spreads. So you can get like an oracle card deck, which like this is my favorite one. I love it because it always has great lessons and things to reflect on. You can get an oracle card deck, and you can then draw a spread, which a spread is just like, it's kind of like a format or a template to work with the cards. So like some people, like a spread could say like, I don't know, card one could be what what would serve me best to release at this time? What would be the best thing to work on at this time? What energies would help support this release? What energies would help support this manifestation? And it could be card 1, 2, 3, and 4, each labeled with one of those questions, and then the card you pull that matched the question. Like, yeah. Anyways, you could look up oracle spreads on Instagram and just like on Google and get plenty of ideas from there, and just take what resonates and make it work for you. I tend to like doing 3-card, 4-card spreads. Sometimes I do 5-card spreads, but I just feel like that's kind of like emotion overload or information overload for me. So I stick with like 3 or 4-card spreads. A lot of people make moon water during full moons, especially. I love moon water. I use it in the bath, I use it in tea, I use it in my floor sweep, I use it in cleaning products. I use it in pretty much anything where I can put water. And it's because it harnesses like such a strong energy, which, I mean, science has even shown that water records data, and so it's just pretty fascinating because you like have all these intentions that you're setting, and you can speak these intentions to the water if you want to, and then you can put it outside in the moonlight, and then the water will record the moonlight and the energy of the moonlight and whatever astrological sign is with that moonlight. It'll record that with your intentions, and the moonlight will charge it. And then if you do it in like a water bottle, for example, then you drink that the next day. So it's just like you just brought all of that beautiful power into your energy system, because remember, you're made of so much water. So now all of that is being recorded in the bigger water system, which is your body. It's pretty freaking powerful and amazing. Some people do the release rituals, some people do cleansing rituals, which I talked about earlier. There's moon meditations that you can find on YouTube, guided meditations to work with the moon, grounding meditations working with the moon. And then the last point I'll bring up when doing moon rituals is it's a good idea to set the space for your moon ritual. Like, it doesn't have to be like a grand space, but I mean, like, having a set notebook is like setting space. Maybe drinking a cup of tea as you work in the notebook is setting space. Some people will do a bunch of candles and crystals, and then they'll sit in the moonlight. Some people will sage their auras, and that way they're smudged and cleansed and releasing it to the moon. Some people will just have a whole self-care night, kind of like I do. That as long as you set space, because it's important to set space, because that way it's showing the universe like, hey, I'm holding space for myself to enjoy this moonlight energy and to work with this moonlight energy. And sometimes, yeah, we're in a hurry and we don't have time to set space. So I mean, it could be really simple. You could just light like a little tea light candle and write a quick list of things that you want to work on during the moon and place it under the candle, and then give it up to God and the moon, and voila, there you are, engaging your free will while at the same time still setting time and space aside to be in your power. So yeah, that's what I got on moon rituals, and I hope you find this useful. You can also do stuff like this during energy portals. So there's like the Lionsgate portal, there's the 1212 portal, the 1111 portal, all of that. All of this can easily be carried over into that. And then there's meditation specifically for that. Portals are a little bit different, working with them energetically, than moons in some senses, because we receive the energy differently, but like you can still work with them and do intention setting and cleansing and charging and grounding, and it's just the fact that you're consciously working with the energy. It's about intention. So yeah, anywho, I hope this helped you, and you take care and be well. Namaste and aho.